Pascal's in his dead center of his prime, and we're talking about all the things he needs to get better. Like he's a 22-year-old young player. Like no.
Like cool that they don't like to see you winning. They wanna see you in a penitentiary. Like leave me a little baby who gon' listen. Girl, I don't wanna be the one you again. My mama told me, boy, make a decision.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast /YouTube/ We Do It All. As always, I am your host, John. Very happy to be here. My boy, Junior. How you doing, baby? How you doing over there in the 714?
Doing good. In the 90210? No, I'm just kidding. Doing good. I'm chilling, man. I'm excited to get into this Raptors talk and man, just looking forward to it.
Man, exactly. We got a very exciting team, man. You know, Jay Hill over there in the 6, and we talk about the 6 today. So, Jay Hill, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing great, John. We got a huge guest, my brother David Oko, on the show today. Excited. We go way back. Hoopers, my brother. So Oko, just introduce yourself to the fans and say what up.
Good, yeah. I know y'all got Jay on here for the 6 side, but I'm the true 6 guy, man. I've been here my whole fucking life. Feel me? But yeah, I'm excited to do some talks about this. Long time coming. But yeah, like me and Jay, we met through Hoop, and we've been hooping, talking about ball ever since. So it's only right to be on the show.
Man, well, we want to thank you very much, Dave, for not only finding the time to come on here, man. And I know the time difference is a little different. We in Cali over there in the 6, but but we appreciate it. We appreciate it, man. So the first question that we love to ask all the fans here for these fan interviews is, David, as a Raptors fan, are you content with how the year went?
No, that's simple. No, bro. We went from 2019 champions to having Kawhi leave us, he hold us. We got to be straight up. He hold us. Yo, my fault. Can we swear in this?
Yeah, you can swear in this.
Okay. Yeah, like he hold us, bro, straight up. Like he could have given us another year. Like I ain't saying like he got to sign a long-term deal, but he could have given us another year. But still going on to the next year, that whole bubble season, we were still able to go to the second round with Boston. And in all truth, we shouldn't have even been on the Game 7 series because of one in particular person, Pascal Siakam, which I'm going to really get into this guy. I think he's the most overpaid player in the league, if I'm being honest, Joe. So I'm not happy with the way your season went this past year. It was just all injuries. I think COVID destroyed our team because we were hooping in the beginning. Like we started off bad and we got into a good pace, and then everybody just got out. OG was out, Pascal was out, Freddie was out, and then we just started basically tanking because they were just starting to rest out, sit out Kyle Lowry, and then we lose our greatest guy of all time, Lowry, this year. So. Yeah, like I wasn't too happy with the way the season went, man. Finishing 10th, like we've been in playoffs since I think 2013 or 2014 that season. So it's like a long run ended.
Yeah, man. When you consider that 2019 was just a couple of years ago, you guys had that spectacular run, and you look to where you guys were this year, man. No one would really be happy, man. But Dave, I'm just gonna get straight to it. There's a huge elephant in the room over there in the 6, and you brought it up. I was gonna wait to bring up Pascal Siakam a little later, but you know what? You brought him up. Let's just jump straight into it. I gotta talk to you about this, man. So you said it, all right. I was gonna say, I have right here on my notes, like, do you really think Pascal Siakam is the number one guy on the championship team? Because I personally don't. Sounds like you don't either.
No, like I think everybody in the city knew he wasn't a number one guy. I don't think everyone was like, oh, Pascal's taking us to that next level. But this goes then into Kawhi. When Kawhi leaving us, he sort of left us shorthanded, right? And it gave all the leverage to Pascal Siakam. Like if he didn't leave us, then we couldn't have to offer him a max. Like I ain't saying Siakam's like garbage, like he can't hoop, but he should not be making 30 mil. He should be making like 20. I would even say 22, I think around that area. I know this is all big boy money regardless, but like he ain't a number one player. I think he's a third option. And I even think that notion, like when we were in 2019, that he was our second option, I don't think that was true. I think it was Lowry and him. And in any given night, he could be 2-3, which I think was good because everyone still had to mainly focus their defense around Kawhi.
So let me ask a quick question here. I want to get you with a heavy hitter. You talk about Pascal Siakam almost like he's damaged goods, and there's another player going around as damaged goods, and that's Ben Simmons. How do you feel about a swap? Who wins? Who loses that?
I'm advocating a swap. If I had a Masai's number, I'd be texting him every day, blowing up his line. Like, trade him. That is, I think, the perfect swap. But I just don't think – I think we end up being the ultimate winners. But I think Siakam in Philadelphia wouldn't be good with Joel Embiid. I just don't think those two would mix well. I think they need a guard. They need like a Lillard, McCollum. They just need a guard that could shoot. I don't think Siakam could shoot, but I would love the swap. I think we would win that.
Okay.
But also with our team, but with our new team this year, like we got Scotty Barnes. I don't know how the Barnes and Ben Simmons dynamic would work.
Right. I mean, there's always a question mark about where Ben Simmons would go, how he'd fit because of his limited we'll say shooting ability for lack of limited is I'm trying to be nice here. But he does bring a lot. He does bring a lot in other aspects, right? Defense is outstanding. I mean, his playmaking is great. So it's always like there's always a little give and take when it comes to a player like Ben Simmons. But you're one of the first people that we've asked that question to, like, would you take Ben Simmons on your team, that actually said yes. So that's interesting.
Because I also think the media has also like really put Ben Simmons down, because regardless of what he did that playoff series, he still gave you, I believe, 16.8 or like 16 points. 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Like
outstanding defense.
And outstanding defense. Me and Jay just did a fantasy league this past season. Like I had Ben Simmons on my team. He was killing for me. Like he does everything still. Like I know he can't shoot, but I also think Philly's playing in a bad position. He's not a point guard. If you have Ben Simmons as your starting 4, like that's a problem. Like I've been saying, like if the Warriors get Ben Simmons, I think that's dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that's dangerous. Like we're gonna be looking like they just fleeced the Philly.
The Sixers, absolutely. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I think it's probably his best trade destination is the Warriors, because
they don't
lack is shooting. They don't lack is shooting. So
yeah, he just needs some shooters around him. Like I don't know if this is a hot take, but I could see Ben Simmons like a worse version of Giannis.
Okay. Without the shoot, I mean, Giannis isn't even that.
Giannis ain't really too much of a shooter. Like I could see, like I think,
except when he plays the Lakers, man.
Yeah, exactly. But like if the team like builds them around Ben Simmons, it's like, okay, we got to get floor spacers, we got to get this, and they really let Ben Simmons rock. Like I think he could be like. I'm not saying he's gonna be exactly like Giannis. He's not as athletic as Giannis, but he can be that type of level though.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm getting the sense that David, you're not really feeling Pascal Siakam over there in the 6. But let me talk to another a native over there from the 6. Let me talk to Jay Hill, because I know Jay Hill was around when they won a championship. So how do you feel? Being from Toronto, about Pascal? Do you like him over there? Do you, like Dave, want to see him get shipped out, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, first of all, I can't claim the Toronto native. I can't claim that. Just a side note. That's all, Oko. But yeah, no. Just a real quick shout out. Just living here in Toronto and seeing the fan base and how popular basketball is here. And Oko can say that, speak on this as well, because he knows what I'm talking about. The fans here are amazing. Like coming from the Warriors, like the Bay Area, and seeing here, like the fans are crazy. So just a little sidebar, But about Pascal, I'm not that down on him. I think that he's not a number 1 option, but I think he's definitely a 2 or a 3. Firsthand, obviously, in the 2019 finals, I think that's, like you guys had mentioned, that was the perfect role for him, where he didn't have that pressure of being that 1-2 option, but he could get his. If he was not the focus of the defense, he's the perfect guy for your team. But right now he's the 1 option. And on a night-to-night basis, we've seen him. It's like so predictable what he does, like down the stretch when he's that guy. Like he'll back you down. And if I was guarding him, he's going to spin back to his right. His left shoulder, he's going to do the same predictable move. And we see it time and time again. So if you're relying on him as your number 1 option, you're not winning anything. But we'll talk about, I think the Raptors are going to be better this year, especially than they were last year, because you guys haven't mentioned that they played in Tampa Bay. way far away from Toronto without their fans and a brand new place. A lot of them said they couldn't find homes. That obviously, they got hit by COVID, injuries. So a lot of unpredictables went into last season. So I'm higher on what the Raptors can be this year. So that's how I'm feeling right now about Pascal and the roster right now.
Wait, Jay, let me add one thing, John, to what he said about that 2019 championship run. Pascal's numbers are all inflated, bro. That is not him. You see how we just saw Ben Simmons this year. We're like, oh my God, this guy's like, he's terrible from that one playoff series. That's what everyone's saying. That they gave that to Pascal Siakam from that playoff. He's like, whoa, he's great. If you really watch his buckets he got, they were all like, they weren't good buckets. There were a lot of them were rebounding, finishing, Kyle Lowry driving, dumping it down, dump downs, little dunks. Yeah, he had that one big game with 32. I think it was the first game, or was it game one, game three?
Yeah.
Game one, yeah. So he had that huge game, which he had. But if you watch his overall buckets, they weren't like, whoa, like this guy, he got it. No, he had a couple shots he hit, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that I could say like this guy's a guy. Like if you look at his overall numbers, it wasn't like that, man. It was inflated, bro.
Okay, but I will say this. So for the Ben Simmons argument, I would say this in defending Pascal. And I'm not saying that I prefer one over the other. What you need from a star player or a 1, 2, 3 option. Let's say 1 or 2 option for this, because that's what Ben Simmons is on Philly. He's the second option, or he should be after Joel. But you got to perform. I think they made him the second. You got to perform in the playoffs, and that's what Pascal did in that. Granted, it might have been inflated, it might have been lucky, call it what you want, but he did perform in the NBA Finals. And Ben Simmons, we haven't even seen him number 1 in an Eastern Conference Finals because he hasn't helped his team get there. So if we're making the Pascal and Ben argument, that's what I have to say why I would keep Pascal in advocacy for him right now. So Jay, what do you have to say to that?
Who had a worse playoff series against Atlanta, Ben Simmons, or Pascal Siakam against Boston in the bubble? Whose playoff series was worse? John, did you watch it? Did you watch that? Did you watch that series? That was the most disgusting series I've ever watched. I don't know. We were winning in spite of him playing bad. Like what? They have breakdowns of his film, like the stuff he missed, open layups, rebound, like everything. Ben Simmons didn't even play that bad. He gave up an open dunk to an assist. Pascal was just missing open dunks. Different.
Hey, at least he's taking them. Hey, at least he's taking the layups, though. What we see from Ben Simmons, he can be a crazy offensive talent. And Junior, you seem like you got to add something to this, but he could be a crazy offensive talent. But you've seen time and time again when he was deep in the lane, especially against Atlanta, he was looking. Obviously, what comes to mind is that one he passed up to Tybalt. Everyone, replays that Doc Rivers. But I mean, there's more times throughout the season where he'll be going through the lane, especially in the playoffs when you need him most. At least Pascal's willing to take those shots, and that's what you want from a 1-2 option. If Ben's not going to take them, why are you going to have him out there on the floor? And believing him and trusting him as your guy.
I gotta side with Dave on this one, man. I gotta side with the fact that I don't know if Pascal Siakam is all that he's made out to be. And the reason I'd have to go against Pascal on this one is because when we look at the 2019 season he did have a good season, especially in that playoff run. He was averaging 4 less points than he is right now on 54% from the field. Compared to this year, he's averaging only 4 more points, but on 44% from the field, which is just ridiculous, like 10% worse. Which if you look at the numbers and you really watch the game, it's probably because he's getting different shots. Why is that? Because instead of him being the number 2 option to where they're not really worried about him, now he's number 1 option. Like how you mentioned, Dave, Kawhi leaving. When Kawhi leaving, the other teams look at Pascal Siakam, they're looking like that's fresh meat. They're gonna eat him up. Like they're gonna eat him up. And teams game plan entirely different against number 1 options and number 2 options. A number 2 option, they might leave you open, like for example, when we look at this, the Brooklyn series, just this past season in the playoffs, when Joe Harris wasn't playing well, I literally saw Joe Harris left open in the corner because James Harden and Kevin Durant had the ball, because James Harden or Kyrie Irving had the ball. Because at that point, you got to pick like who's going to kill me in what order, and you're going to let Joe Harris kill you every day. And that's the same thing. I think that they were okay with letting Pascal Siakam kill him as a second option, and he was doing it and he was shining. But now,
John, I want to add, I don't think he's a second option. Like that year, I don't think he was a true second option. He was a 2-3. Depending on the night. That's what you have to understand. Like, depending on the night, he was a 2-3. Because you got to remember, they're still game planning against Kyle Lowry. And then we still got Van Fleet coming off the bench. And Gasol was still Gasol. Like, he wasn't like top-notch Gasol, but he was still better than the Gasol we saw in the Lakers.
Okay, so how fearful are you this year now? Because now that Kyle Lowry's gone, Pascal's like literally the only option. I mean, so like, are you fearful about that? Are you guys...
I don't know if this is going to be a hot take. Like, I hear what Jay's saying about us being better. And like, I think he sort of got into my head because we have these like combos. And I've been thinking, you know what, man, we might be better than I originally
Jay Hill's
said.
really persuasive. I agree.
He's persuasive, man. So first of all, I don't think anyone's been talking about this. Siakam got a torn labrum in his shoulder. So he got surgery this offseason. He's going to be missing the first month or two of the season. And I believe it was his left hand. I don't know if it was left or right. I don't remember. But either way, we're losing. Think about it. He really doesn't have a left hand. So that means his left hand ain't going to be working. His shot's bad already. Shot's going to be just more worse from his shoulder. So I think we're losing regardless. So if it's his shoulder, then his left hand got better, but he still has a weak shot. If it's his left hand, then his left hand's still even weaker than it is before. Like, this Siakam has so many flaws and holes in his game that it's like, and that notion that he's a young player. John, I don't think everyone realizes he's 27. He's like 28, 20. I think he's turning 28 this year. Like, he's supposed to be in his dead prime right now. Like, think about what Braun was doing at 28. Like, defensively, what Melo was doing at 28. You know, I'm just looking at the background. Like, every one of those guys, like, that's their prime. These are what guys do. Like, Ben Simmons technically still hasn't even reached his prime. He's only 25. Like, Pascal's in his dead center of his prime, and we're talking about all the things he needs to get better. Like, he's a 22-year-old young player. Like, no.
So that actually leads me. Go ahead, Jahil. Go ahead.
No, no. I mean, just a sidebar, and only what Oko mentioned is the only reason I don't think he was in more trade talks was because of that injury. So I think Masai would have been more aggressive. Because if you're Philly, you're not doing that deal for Pascal, an injured player. So keep an eye closer to the deadline when Pascal's got a chance to be in games. Toronto might be in a lot more of those trade conversations come the deadline. But that's all I got to say.
Definitely, man. And, you know, Dave, like how you mentioned with that last point in about Pascal being, you know, dead set in his prime. Like right now, this is the best of Pascal that we should see, theoretically speaking. But so that actually leads me perfectly to my next point. And my next question I have to you is, so you know, during these team interviews, we've done a bunch of teams. We've done 18 teams so far. And one of the teams that we've done is the Warriors, right? And, you know, as you know, Jay Hill's a big Warriors fan, you know, holding it down for the Warriors faithful. Right?
John, we say we don't talk politics at the dinner table, man. Every time me and Jay talk Warriors and Raptors, it always ends up in a fight.
More of a cordial debate.
I end up hating Jay in some moments. I'm like, yo, dude, I don't want to talk to this guy about ball. Like, I get so pissed off.
Jay, tell him about our Lakers Warriors debates all the time too.
Man. It's the same time. It's the same thing with Junior, but it's all love. It's love. But we just read, because it's just fun, you know, talking about
it's just love,
and talking ball in general. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah. But anyway, man. So you know, in that interview, I had asked Jay Hill if he would be open to you know, mortgaging the future and risking the future in Wiseman and Kuminga for a more solidified star like a Pascal Siakam, right? And we all understand that Pascal Siakam right now, September 15th, he's better than Wiseman. He's better than Kuminga. But we also understand that Kuminga and Wiseman probably have a higher ceiling than Pascal Siakam. Like how you mentioned, we don't see Pascal getting much better than here. So let me flip the question and ask you, would you, and it seems that you would be because from how you feel about Pascal, but would you be open to trading Pascal for more younger players, which would, make your championship run a little longer, but you could potentially get a lot better than you ever could with Pascal. So would you be able to do that?
Yeah, so there's two things about the NBA. When we talk about like the NBA, a lot of times we act like it's college. Like we got dudes coming in here 4 or 5 years and we develop them. Like the thing about young teams, it's contract situations. Like you look at Phoenix, like watch Phoenix after this coming year, their whole team is going to be different because Mikal Bridges wants to get paid. Aiden wants to get paid. You only got so much cap space. So what makes it tough about doing trades like that, I think Warriors win that trade. For the fact that Pascal's basically your third option. Like you have Curry's gonna be your number one, which is a sniper. Clay comes back, sniper. I don't know like how his defense is gonna be right now, but I feel like Clay, the way his game is, I think he'll pick it up. But you got Clay basically as your second option, and at the beginning you could probably have Siakam still. So you can have that floor space where you basically just let Siakam go one-on-one. You still got Dre who's gonna be able to set him up. And then you mortgage your future. I think Warriors win that because they're in a win now mode. Curry's Jay, how old is Curry? 33, 34?
32, I believe. 32, 33.
Like he's already like Curry's gonna be able to extend his career, but he's already getting to that backstage like sooner or later. So having a young player like that just makes it better than you're gonna have to develop Kuminga. Kuminga's still raw. He has no shot right now. Even though I was more down on him until I actually seen him in Summer League, I'm more higher on him now. Wiseman, I think Wiseman's going to be a good player still. I think he did a lot for his rookie year, even though like a lot of people didn't like him. I just don't think they're on the same timeline as Curry and Clay. But I think with the Raptors, I think I would do that trade because that's just a lot of assets. Like I would like if that trade, like if you were to give me Kuminga, Wiseman, and Moody, I would have loved that trade because I think that fits in with our timeline, right? But then it also messes us up because like once these guys get to a certain level where they want to start getting that bank, that big check, like it also limits us with cap space because we still have Fred, we still have OG. Like these are guys that are core pieces. Like I don't know how much it'll work. That's the thing. I don't really believe building through the NBA draft in the league. Like I think you've got to like get a solidified player and then you got to start building like with pieces around it. But I don't think you could just stack talent because you see teams like Minnesota, they've been awful for how long? They gotten enough number one draft picks. They have 2 number one picks on their team right now. You know what I mean?
I will say this. Stephen Curry was drafted by the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson was drafted by the Golden State Warriors. And so is Draymond. And I would say they're transcendent talents. I will say that, but it can be done. It can be done.
That's
my counter to that.
The only reason why I'm more adamant on a team like Toronto or Golden State doing it is because the franchises are run well. We got good management, so good development. So I'd be more open to doing that. But like, it's still a big risk with developing through the draft. Like Minnesota, Phoenix, until they got Chris Paul, they were like we didn't see them for 9 years. I think their playoff drought. Like I know they had a good season this year, but honestly, that's an injuries thing. I'm not going to go into that, but I honestly. Junior, I'm with you. I think the Lakers would have got out of the West if it wasn't for all the injuries.
I think so too.
But like we're not, yeah, like But let's wait. This is not the Raptors clutch.
That sounds like something Jay Hill would say.
All right, Dave. But so I feel you on Pascal Siakam, but let's flip it. Let me ask you in the same question that I asked Jay Hill, but just instead of the Warriors, the Raptors, because you guys also have a couple of young players, in Gary Trent Jr., which you guys re-signed. I think he's a great, promising young talent. Chris Boucher, OG Anunoby, Precious Achua, some, young talented players. Would you be open to sending out those players for a more solidified number one option? We talked about Pascal not being the number one. Would you do that for a real number one?
And we're still keeping Siakam on our team?
I would think he'd have to be part of that trade. I think if I was another GM, I'd probably say, you got to give me these players and Siakam,
It
depends
Scotty
who.
Barnes. So let me ask you,
Junior, I think it depends on the value. Yeah, like what Junior said, like it all depends on the player, right? Like, if it's a player like Beal, probably have to include Siakam into that. But then like it's tricky because you get a play like I think like a player I'd want on the Raptors is Beal. If I'm being honest, like that's the player I think he fits like really well with the Raptors. But like it all depends on the situation because if I get a guy like Beal on my team, but I give up my whole team, like is Beal really coming to a better situation than he was in Washington? Right? Like if I'm giving up OG, Precious, and well, Precious not even that big right now, but OG, Trent, and like Siakam for Beal, for example. Like I think ultimately we still end up winning the trade, but I think then like we have to have commitment from Beal. We can't just sort of do like what we did with Kawhi, have that like 1 year, 2 year type of commitment. We need to have them like commitment for a 5 year type of thing so we could actually build a solid team around him. That was the only way that I would want to trade him for.
Why Beal though? I mean, we've seen him in Washington not really achieve much success because he's by himself. It's not a fault to Beal, but if he comes in the same situation, just a couple hours north, why Beal?
Well, it's back to what we were saying about organizations. Like I don't think Washington's a good organization.
That's
like,
fair.
I think when you look at like good organizations, they just like there's this old saying: good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose. Like. That's what I think Washington has. Like Bradley Beal has not got a team that's really built good around him, which is like honestly unfortunate. But like Russ and Bradley Beal, like what did they expect? Did you see all the pieces they added with them? Like you're starting Robin Lopez. Like if you're gonna make a trade for a player like Russ, like you got to build something. Like they just sort of like throw a team together and see what happens. So I think if like you put I don't know how old Bradley Beal is. I think he's 26. I think he's like pretty young.
He's 26.
27? Yeah, so
27.
Okay. So yeah, if you get a guy like Bradley Beal and you have him commit for like a 5 year term from 26 and he's like 31, which is still going to be his prime. Like you already have Fred VanVleet as his point guard, which is going to be a good point guard because Fred is like an underrated defender. He's pretty good at like defense. You get a guy like OG Anunoby as his three. I think OG Anunoby is the best 3-and-D player right now. Like, I don't know what you guys think about that. I think he's like at least a top 3-and-D player. Oh, OG can hoop. OG can hoop.
I have a top
what about
Mr.
Mr.
Top 5?
Hey,
What about Mr. Thompson out in Golden State?
Well, we got to see how he comes back injured. Right now, healthy players, I think OG Anunoby's a top 3-and-D player. Okay. He's a true 3-and-D player, and I think he's gonna take another leap this year.
Okay.
He took a huge leap last year, like a huge leap. But anyways, you got a guy like OG, that's your 3, and he's a good contract. He's only making, I think, 18 a year. Fred is making 20. You probably pay Beal the bag, and then you get like a solid 4, which is like not Siakam, but around that type of role player. And then we get a big with like Precious Achiuwa. I wanted to try to get Rashawn Holmes from Sacramento. I think he's super underrated. But yeah, we get like Rashawn Holmes or something like that. I think we need a solid 5. I think when we add defenders around him and guys that could space and shoot the floor and have some type of offensive game, I think Beal could like thrive in Toronto. Like I ain't saying we're going to win the championship with Beal, like just instantly, but if you even add Beal as your number 1 option and somehow you're able to keep a Siakam and OG, like that's a team. That's a team right now in the East. Like even though you got Brooklyn Nets with KD and all them, and then Milwaukee, but I would put us at the Milwaukee's level if we got Beal with the team we had right now.
Immediately? Milwaukee just won the title.
Yeah, but I think they won off injuries. Like I think
that's
this
fair.
year,
that's fair. But they have a good team, though. I mean,
they have a good team, but I think this year, I don't know what you guys felt. Like I thought the playoffs weren't the playoffs.
No, not at all.
Right? I think it was just who was the most healthiest team. Like every team that went into the bubble was practically decimated this year.
Yeah, no, and you saw, I mean, I think out of the final 4 from the bubble, the only team that made it past the first round really was just the Denver Nuggets, and then they lost in the second round, right?
And Jamal Murray tore his ACL. Like everybody that made a run in the bubble was hurt.
Yeah,
right. Because it was too fast of a turnaround.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, one thing I just looked up, and maybe just a side note, but Beal is 28 actually. So, are you still as invested when his prime goes from 28 to 33?
I'm still invested. Okay. He's averaging about 32, 33 a game right now.
But his game is not going to it's not going to age like, for example, Steph Curry's game. Like Steph Curry could realistically be 37, still giving everybody buckets, right? I don't know if Beal can do the same thing.
Beal's game is not all built around athleticism. He's athletic.
Yeah.
He's actually underrated athleticism. Like his athleticism is super underrated. Like he's for the most part, he's like a really guy who gets off a screen, gets pin downs or down screens and curls around them, gets open shots. Like he plays a lot off the ball. So you have a guy like Fred VanVleet who could orchestrate that. Like, let's not do this wishful thinking, man. You guys are gonna make me hurt for this. Yeah, like I'm thinking about Beal, and I'm gonna be seeing Trent coming off down screens. Like, no, that's a huge difference, man.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So as it kind of brings us to a good transition here into our next segment. One thing we always do here is called the Clutch Talk timeout. So what I ask our guests in this segment is down the stretch, you're in a tight game, you need a bucket. It could be down the stretch, it could be fourth quarter, whenever you need a bucket, or late game moments, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, I don't know, you're drawing up a play. What player on the Raptors on your roster are you going to? Because I know you don't feel that way. If you feel some type of way about Pascal, you got Freddie, you got OG, who we've seen hit a big shot. Yeah. So who are you going to down the stretch?
You nailed it. You nailed it on the spot. It's OG.
Like, I think,
wow. But Pascal Siakam is still the best player on that team.
I don't think so.
Would you disagree? You would disagree.
Okay.
Not your least favorite.
Junior. Have you hooped before, like on a team?
Yeah, but not like you and Jay, not college.
Yeah. Okay, but John, you hooped as well?
Yeah, I hoop.
Okay, so if you're it has nothing to do about knowing basketball or not knowing basketball. If you're on a team, you're only what your coach makes you to be. Like me and Jay understand this. Like sometimes it's the confidence your coach puts on you. Like there's guys you're better than. Like if you guys ever watch like some universities or even NBAs, there's guys that don't play, don't get minutes that would kill everybody at practice. And you guys don't know about it because when they come in the game, they just don't look, they look shit. They look like they don't do anything. Mm-hmm. So I think the way, like when it's a lot of politics in NBA too. Like you paid a guy $30 million a year. What are you going to do? You're going to bench him? You can't do that. Like you paid him $30 million. There's politics right there. Like
that's exactly why Andre Drummond got games in the playoffs.
Exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could be playing terrible, but it's because we invested into you. We have to get our return out of you. Like there's a big take that Chris Boucher was playing better than Pascal Siakam last year, but he wasn't finishing games. Right. Jay, you had him on fantasy. You saw what he was doing, like 5, 6, 7 blocks games. Like he was putting up numbers, right? Like, so you're gonna like. I don't think Siakam's the best player on the team. I think he's marketed as the best player on the team. Right? Like I think OG, like I think this is gonna be the year OG elevates. Okay. Like this is my year that what I saw from him last year, like he's developing, man. I'm telling you, like I think this is the year OG is gonna develop. So I'd have OG as my number one option, and my second guy would be Fred.
Okay. So that makes sense. And that kind of, goes into because going into the season, they're gonna be without Pascal. So that kind of makes sense. That it would be OG. So then another quick question I have for you is, what does your starting five look like going into next season? Obviously without Pascal because of injury. And then what is your kind of second unit, or who do you have like as a sixth man and directly off the bench? Because you have a lot of options in the backcourt as well as kind of limited, I would say, in the front court with.
I think we're clogged. Yeah, I think we're clogged in the front court. If you like look at our roster. I think I think point guard, obviously we have Fred VanVleet as our starter. I don't know what we're doing with the whole Goran Dragic situation. I don't think he's gonna I think he'll start off the season with us, but I think he's gonna end up I think we're gonna end up trading him for something. I think he's gonna get moved even before trade deadline, but I won't be surprised if he gets moved at the trade deadline. I just don't see the fit or need to have Goran Dragic on the team. We have Malachi Flynn, let's develop him more. But so point guard will be Fred. I think our two, we just gave Trent 18 mil. So I think Trent's going to be our starting two. I got OG at our 3. I wanted to put Scotty Barnes as that 4, but I don't know how much pressure that's going to be on a young. At the end of the day, Scotty Barnes 19, right? I like his potential, but I don't know if we're going to start him. So I wouldn't mind starting even a Precious Achiuwa and having a Khem Birch, a big lineup type of thing, because we don't actually have any true centers. All our centers are those mobile 6'9" that can move around and get around the floor. They're undersized centers, but they're athletic. So that's what I would say. My
Boucher.
predictive start lineup would either be
That's
Precious.
what I was noticing.
I don't think they're
Really?
going to start Boucher. I don't think they're
I
going
think
to
he's one of the most
Boucher.
improved players, and I know you talk
I
a
think
lot
he is.
about OG's
I think he
improvement, but I
is.
think Boucher was incredible.
No, Boucher is good. The only thing about Boucher is like offensively he's good, and I know he gets blocks. If you match him up with any guy that has any size into him, Boucher gets abused.
No, he's
Like,
6'9".
he's a small guy.
Like
He's a small
there's only
guy,
so
but-
much you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start Boucher just for the shooting aspect. Like I wouldn't be surprised, but I think they're gonna ultimately start Kem Birch as our 5, at least to begin the season. But I wouldn't even be surprised if Precious takes that spot as the season goes. And then off the bench I got Malachi, Goran Dragic, Scotty, Chris Boucher, and I don't know how to say his name. We got that shooter from OKC. CV McCall. I don't know.
I already know
Steve
you're talking about.
McKyler.
You know what I'm talking about,
Steve
right?
McKyler.
Hey, you mean
Yeah.
Laker legend Steve
Hey,
McKyler?
hold
on,
That's
let's-
exactly what you're talking about.
Let me add some. So I got that right. So I have here who all you guys is additions and losses that you guys had to you guys' team this offseason. And I'm over here working on my list yesterday. I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I can't pronounce this guy's name. I'm gonna just leave him off the list. I'm gonna just leave him off the list. It's a
I
hard
can't
name to
pronounce the
pronounce.
guy's name, man. But he's a shooter though. He's knocked out.
Every time he hit a three, he'd always be speed for 3 every time.
Yeah,
watch,
speed for
you'll
three.
see when he starts hitting threes.
That last name is not getting said in that. Like it shit is not getting said.
Facts, man. All right. So, David, I want to touch on 2 points here that you mentioned. One, Scotty Barnes. So let's go with that first. I have a quick question. Like, are you upset with the pick of Scotty Barnes when Jalen Suggs was still on the table? Because I remember watching the draft and being like, what are the Raptors doing? Like, Jalen Suggs is that guy.
No, I knew. Actually, before anyone even knew about who Scotty Barnes was and like that talk that he was raising, I said we're gonna draft Scotty Barnes. Like word to like Jay, I think I told you this. I said it's between Scotty Barnes and Suggs for us, and I knew it from get. But I know the way the Raptors, like being a fan for them so long, I know what type of players they like. They love those like 6'8", 6'9", long defensive players that could have like some like guard skills. That's what they love. Like that's what Raptors like go to guys. So I knew we were gonna go draft Barnes, and but I think fit wise for this coming year, I thought Suggs was a better fit. But I like long term. I think Barnes is gonna be a better player than Suggs, but I think Suggs is better right now. That makes sense.
Okay.
Right? Like I think in prime time, both of them in their prime, I don't see Suggs as an all-star caliber player. I see him like a player like a Mike Conley level, where it's like he can be an all-star, but he's not an all-star. But I think Barnes has the potential to be an all-star, like a legitimate star in the league. That's the difference. And I think NBA draft, you got to go off potential.
So let me ask you something real quick, David. So you brought up this point where the Raptors do like bring in these like 6'9" lanky players that are mobile still, right? And obviously, as soon as you said that, my mind went to Brandon Ingram. How would you feel about moving on a player like Brandon Ingram, who isn't as polished as Bradley Beal, but will give you more upside, significantly younger? Like, how would you feel about a move like that instead of a solidified star like a Bradley Beal, or thinking one tier below, but a little bit younger, a lot of potential?
Yeah, I like Ingram's game. I like Ingram's game a lot. The thing about the Raptors, which is like, which they built everything off defense. Like when we went from the transition, which was years ago, like 2013, 2014, when we got like Dwayne Casey in and we started taking like all those other coaches up. I think Jay Triano was our old coach before that. Like we started building a foundation of just defense. I know Ingram has a defensive potential, but I think he's
not that good.
Not there yet with defensively wise. So the thing about the Raptors is like, I don't know how that would work because I know they're not trading OG. I can tell you that they are so high on OG, like they're not going to trade OG. So if you give up Siakam, then you have to basically move OG to the 4 because Brandon Ingram just can't hold any power forward. Yeah. Right. So I don't know how it works too. And plus, Brandon Ingram's never been in a situation where he's even like remotely close to winning. Do you know what I mean? Like that stuff makes sense. Like he's been in an organization that's just been losing. Like he was on the Lakers. They were losing. He's on Pelicans. I think Pelicans are continuously playing bad.
Right.
Like, they're underperforming.
But I think he does have experience in leading a team. I'm not gonna say with much success so far, but I mean, last season Zion was out pretty much most of the season. He was taking care. Not like the Pelicans did anything. And also in LeBron's last season, right? You saw the time when LeBron went down after Christmas. It was just Bi kind of taking over there. So I think it's just a matter of maturity and kind of growing into that role. I mean, he hasn't shown much success in that role before, but I do think that. Maybe I'm trying to be optimistic, but almost like third time's a charm. And if you were to do something like that with a better supporting cast, I think that there's some potential there. But I do see there's definitely there's gives and takes when you put up Bi versus a more polished player like you said with Bradley Beal.
Like I wouldn't give up as much for Bi as I would for Beal.
You would for Beal. That's
right.
Fair.
Like
that's fair.
I wouldn't mortgage my whole future for Brandon.
That's okay. Fair. Okay. All right. So Dave, here as we start to wrap it up here, two questions that we love to ask all the fans here at the end is barring injury, I know we can't expect injuries and we don't know how hopefully it's not another COVID season. Hopefully you have a healthy full season. Yeah. With a healthy roster, with knowing Pascal is going to miss the beginning of the season, but planning he'll be there for the rest. Where do you see the Raptors finishing, and then how far in the playoffs if they make it?
So, John, if you talked to me like a month ago, I'd probably tell you like 11th. But after Jay's conversations with me, he's been getting in my head. So he's making me feel like a lot like more confident this year. I think we could make the playoffs. Only reason is because we're going to be a really good defensive team. Like I think defensively, that's what's going to carry us. But it's also going to be contingent on how well OG could actually come into this year. And like, if he could actually hold down, like being a number 1, 2 type of option. Also going to like see how much Malachi Flynn could actually be like a true backup guard. Like he was on and off last year, like being our main guard and then not being our guard. And he was still like having those rookie slumps. So I'll give my take. I think Raptors could be a solid play-in team, 7-8.
Okay.
So you're staving off a play-in situation where you're going to have a winner go home type of game.
I think we're going to have the advantage. So I think we're going to be like that team that has to lose 2 times to like be out.
Okay. And since this is so close to home, Jay Hill, are you feeling that, or you think they're going to be a little lower, a little higher?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the circumstances and what the Raptors had to go through last year. I think last year, if they had no injuries, even losing Kyle last year, I think they would have been a playoff team. Like 6, I said before the season, I said 6. I remember telling Oko, I said they were a 6 seed, barring, no injuries, COVID, all that. So this year I have them as the 8 seed. Going into the season, so they'll be in the playoff. They'll have the advantage, like Oko said. So I think a lot of people are sleeping on what they can do. Nick Nurse to me is one of the top 3 coaches in the league, and they already have that championship system and mentality already in place. So I think they're gonna have a good season and shock a lot of people and doubters this year.
Okay, all right, and then Dave, last question that we like to ask here is. As a Raptors fan, if you could give us one word or one phrase to describe about how you feel about this last season that just happened, and then one word or one phrase to describe about how you feel about this upcoming 2021-2022 season.
Well, I'm gonna think about that for a sec. So with the what do you mean, like one word, like how I describe the team or how I personally?
And how you felt as a Raptors fan?
How you felt the season went?
Yeah.
All right, like I guess frustrated would be the word.
Okay.
Or you know what? No. I don't even want to say that. I think everything, like the way the team started off, we had some expectations, but then my whole opinion changed once that whole COVID thing hit. So I sort of was like optimistic because I'm like, we can still have a lot of pieces and be a top, get like a really high pick. So I was sort of optimistic. This year, uncertain. Like that's it. Like there's nothing certain about my team this year. Like I'm not like even me giving you that 7-8. Like I was really uncertain saying that because I wouldn't even be surprised they were like 10. Okay. So like I'm really uncertain on it. Like that has to be optimistic than to uncertain.
Okay.
This is our first season that we haven't talked about this much. This is our first season without Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry's been on our team since 2012. Like, as much as you said about that championship DNA, Hill, like, that is the guy that glued everybody together. Like, we basically given that responsibility to Fred VanVleet. And even Fred has said this last season that just happened, Kyle Lowry was mentoring him a lot on how to, like, take over that role. So this is going to be Fred VanVleet's first time, like, having to command a locker room fully without that leadership of Lowry. So, like, guys like Siakam, OG, like, I don't know. OG doesn't talk a lot. Like, I got to see how these guys actually lead the group. So, yeah, like, we lost our DNA with that guy. So I don't know if we're gonna have it still.
Okay,
so certain, man.
All right,
we're gonna have to have Drake host a team bonding event here to get some continuity.
Have some exclusive album playing for that guys.
For real, man. For real. All right, man. All right. Well, I like your 2 words, man. So Dave, here, we one thing that we like to do here on Clutch Talk is we have a closing segment called Guess the Player. This is how Guess the Player works, Dave. I have 3 players. I have 3 players here listed, and for you, Jay Hill and Jenner, you guys each have 2 guesses to guess the player. I have a bunch of their accolades, things that they were known for, jersey numbers they wore, colleges they went, and you guys have to guess. You only got 2 guesses. You got it?
Any player in the league, or is this specific?
Yeah, and you can blurt it out at any time. You can blurt it out at any time if you.
But you got
just
2
2 guesses.
Okay, bad.
So use them wisely because the clues are gonna get easier.
The clues get more easy as they go.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Our first player we have here. This guy is a 1-time slam dunk champion. He played for 8 teams throughout his career. He is a 1-time NBA Teammate of the Year.
Vince Carter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, that was tough. That was tough.
Damn, I'm not gonna lie. That was
tough.
the 6. I had to throw one in there. That was the 6.
Hey, you said 8 teams and a slam dunk champ. I was thinking Vince because the raps.
Yes, sir. All right, here we go. All right, next player. This guy is a 9 times all defense first team member. This guy is a 1-time slam dunk champion as well. This guy is a 2-time scoring champion, a 4-time All-Star Game MVP.
Brown.
No, but very good guess.
He's not a 9-time.
He's never been in the slam dunk competition.
Yeah, that's what I fucking tweeted about. Oh.
A 1-time NBA MVP.
Kobe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bro,
that's a big one.
I don't know why. I swear to God, that's who I was thinking about. I'm thinking about a Laker right now. I just said Bron.
Man, we got to show love to Kobe, man. All right, here we go. All right, last player we have here. Last player. Let's do this. So this guy played for 4 teams his time in the NBA. He is a 1-time finals MVP, a 1-time 3-point champion, 1-time Mr. California, 1-time NBA champion.
Paul Pierce?
Is it Paul Pierce?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I ain't get one.
I was like half a second behind you on that one, Gio.
Okay, hey. All right. Well, hey, we gotta enter into a tiebreaker because Junior got one, Jay Hill got one. So
I got 2.
Oh, you got 2? Oh, never mind. Ain't no tiebreaker. Jay Hill took it this week.
2-time.
Yeah, you weren't allowed that one, eh? Jay, you wanted that dub. You weren't allowed that one.
hey, let's give it one more. Hey, Oko, you can't get stumped.
Yeah, bro.
Hey,
All right, here we go.
Give him one.
All right, here we go. Here we go, Oko. Here we go.
Oko's the Pascal Siakam of this Clutch Talk episode.
Don't ask me another Pascal Siakam guy after the question, man. My chest is already boiling right now.
All right, let's do this. All right, this is what I'll say, Oko. This player right here, he has a lot to do with he has a lot to do with the Raptors, not necessarily that he played on the Raptors, but he has a lot to do with the Raptors. Okay, he was cool with somebody that was on the Raptors. Here we go. He's a 2-time scoring champion.
D-Mac.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I do that one.
There you go.
Wait, but you say he never played on the Raptors?
Yeah, no, because I didn't want you thinking I'm solely he played on the Raptors because he was hella close with Vince.
No,
I didn't want you to
But when
only
you said
think that.
he never played on the Raptors.
Yeah,
I was
that was
I thought,
Man,
yo,
John.
I thought, John, you were gonna trip with me. The minute you said scoring champion, I thought you were gonna say like I thought you were gonna give like a retro player, like Junkyard Dog or some shit like that. I was like, the minute you said that, I was like, yo, because he brought shit to us. You know what I mean? But yeah, T-Mac. The minute you said scoring champion, I was like, oh, T-Mac.
Yeah,
Tracy.
That was I was gonna say he's cousins with somebody else on his list, but
That
you
would
guys
have been
like
that.
that. That would have been too easy, man. All right. Well, this is a good point for us to go ahead and start wrapping it up here, Dave. Man, we really appreciate you coming on here and blessing us with your knowledge. You're very knowledgeable Raptors fan, man. So before we check out here, do you have any last words you want to say?
Nah, bro. I just want to appreciate y'all getting me on this. Like I wanted to go on this stuff, and it's good to have a pod. I call Jay Hill, but he's really my crow, so I gotta shout that out one time. So that's my crowder right there, and it was good meeting y'all, and chopping it up with y'all.
Definitely, man. So, hey, Junior, you got any last words to say
just appreciate it, bro. I appreciate you coming on, talking about the Raptors. It was a lot of fun. A lot. I see a lot. The same way you talk about the Raptors is the way I talk about the Lakers. I got some players that gave me heartburn too. So I completely get where you're coming from, and it was just a lot of fun. So I appreciate you.
Yo, Junior, I always tell Jay Hill this, and Jay gets pissed off at this, bro. Like, Raptors are my team, so they're automatically my East team, but I like having a West team, and Lakers are my West team.
Yes, sir.
But let me tell you this why,
sense.
But this is why, though. This is why. I'm low-key a LeBron. Like, wherever LeBron goes, I'm sort of behind him. I'm not in the forefront, but I'm in the back of the train.
You're there.
I'm in the back of the train.
I feel
I'm in the back of the train. So,
man,
I closely watch the Lakers too, bro.
That's awesome, bro. I'm already seeing Jay Hill log out here as we're talking, but no, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you, brother.
I don't got much to say, but to that I say, we'll see y'all on October 19th. That's all I gotta say. Keep that same energy.
Man. It's keeping it short and sweet.
But no, real talk though, Oko, my brother, appreciate you coming on the show. Been talking about that and definitely gonna have you back. So appreciate that and your time and everything.
For sure. Yeah, we gotta do like some mid-season NBA review. Like, I be watching hoops all the time, so I ain't even just Raptors. I know hoop in general, so
that's perfect, man. Because then, okay, we could have you back multiple times, man, and so that the fans can stay in touch and stay in contact with you. I'm gonna go ahead and put your Instagram right there, right in your little bubble for everyone that's watching on YouTube, man. Make sure you go give them a follow, man. Go show them some love. Go tell them that the Raptors are gonna win the East. But
don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. I don't like liars, man.
All right, man. Well, this is a good point for us to go ahead and wrap it up. But as always, you guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow our Instagram. It's going to be right here, man. And then it's going to be in the description down below, man. So get at us. And if that's it, then we out of here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.
Peace.
Deuces.